On to our big exclusive this morning. It is a season for splurging on gifts and online shopping. But this Christmas season, are you being cheated and are you being looted? The big expose on CNN News 18 today as we bring you the ugly reality of online discount rackets. The huge discounts available online, especially during the festive seasons, are nothing but a bluff. CNN News 18 exposes sellers who are selling duplicate brands online and fooling online customers. Have a look.
The holiday season is here, and with that, the great online discount bazaar. But wait. Hold on before you splurge. The objects displayed on your screens might not be what you think they are. What we're going to show you now will shock you. What if we tell you that most of the products which offer over 50% discounts could be fake? CNN News 18 brings you the reality of the mega discount.
E-commerce portals like Snapdeal, ShopClues, Flipkart and Amazon. And on all what we have discovered is a horror story wherein almost 60% sports goods which are being sold are fakes.
Dhirendra is a brand intelligence entrepreneur who works with the cops to detect and seize fake goods. CNN News 18 teamed up with him to expose how fake products have crowded the online market. These screenshots show how even the biggest of the e-sellers have these fake product sellers. Flipkart, Amazon, ShopClues, etc. According to the brand intelligence sleuths, almost 60% sports goods being sold are duplicate. Most of these products offer a discount to the extent of 60 to 70%.
As far as these e-commerce platforms are concerned, the story being sold to ordinary consumers is high discounts being offered, but there's a story behind it and it's all not true. These are fakes.
CNN News 18 went with him on a raid to one of the hubs of fake products in western Uttar Pradesh's Meerut, and all these stockpile of goods are fake. An original Costco or Nivea balls cost close to 1,000 rupees, but these balls were to be sold online for as little as 400 rupees. The buyer who trusts the brand name of the retail market space for the quality assurance will end up receiving a counterfeit product.
These balls, one, they do not have any hologram, and each of my footballs and volleyballs, Costco and Nivea, they come in a cardboard box,
right,
which has a MRP label with barcode as per the Legal Metrology Act and the packaging rules.
Okay.
So these balls have none of those, and we've been trained to identify.
Not just these sports goods, even those Nike sweaters are fake as well.
आपको ये मालूम है कि ये जो आप माल खरीद रहे हो ये ओरिजिनल है या डुप्लीकेट है, ये बता दो, सब बात खत्म कर दो।
क्या ओरिजिनल डुप्लीकेट सर? एक फुटबॉल सर, मैं आपको एक चीज बता रहा हूं,
बॉल है वो डुप्लीकेट है ओरिजिनल है, बता दो।
कैसी हो
जो आपके पास ऊपर माल रखा हो ओरिजिनल है या डुप्लीकेट है?
मैं एक चीज बता देता हूँ। आप तो यहीं पे थाने से ही आए हैं। बाहर पैंट लगती है, बाहर पैंट जो लगती है उसमें स्वेटर बिकता है, उस पर नाइकी का निशान बना हुआ है, वो ओरिजिनल है डुप्लीकेट है।
The brand investigators try spotting the unnatural discounts and unusual activity on the e-commerce websites to spot the counterfeit products. After that, they proceed to do over 50 purchases from various traders to gain evidence, and finally, when the list is ready, they go for the raids.
While it is the constant surveillance that is needed to unearth these fake products online, the question here is why these e-commerce websites are not taking strictest possible action on the notorious traders, because at the end of the day, the consumers are buying products online on the basis of the reputation of these e-commerce websites and not that of the traders.
It's been 24 hours, but we're still waiting for a reply from Flipkart.
At the end of the day, you're all alone in this big bad online market. That's why whatever you buy with care. If a deal looks too good to be true, then generally it isn't. Like for this one, I purchased it for only 400 bucks, getting a discount of over 70%, but it turned out to be a fake ball. And that's why always read the review section. Probably there could be the hint of the truth. With Nitisha Kashyap in New Delhi, this is Shubhajit Sengupta.
And here's the clinching evidence that the sellers are using reputed online e-commerce platforms to sell counterfeit products. Have a look.
I have with me Dhirendra Singh from Brand Protectors India Limited. You're the director of the company and you are telling us right now that there is a huge chance if the product is sold at over 50% discount that it could be fake?
Absolutely, and that is what we have discovered. We have discovered a horror story which is playing out on these online marketplaces. So we started these investigations from May 2017 because our retailers pan India for Costco and Nivea brands, they started complaining about huge discounts being offered on online marketplaces and why the stepmotherly treatment with them. And when we started investigating these marketplaces, test purchases followed and so on, and in 3 months we executed the first raid action against one such sellers hub in Okhla, Delhi for Costco and Nivea brands, where we found huge quantities of fake.
But did you buy fake products from
Absolutely.
Flipkart?
We made hundreds of purchases from all these marketplaces, and for example, I have these unopened packs of Nivea and Costco footballs which we had ordered.
So unopened packs, but you're 100% confident that they are counterfeit?
Absolutely, absolutely. And here is our...
So this is the product ID?
Yes, here is the product ID.
And it's purchased from Flipkart?
From Flipkart. And you have the product ID and you have the order ID basically, not the product ID, order ID. And that connects with Flipkart, our decoy account.
So right now if I ask you to open this, can you open and show it to me and say that this is basically a fake product?
Absolutely.
So we're just going to show you, he's going to open this and he's promising me that this is going to be a fake product. So let's just cut it through and just see what does it have inside. But this is something which is very unique. You know, this is a product which he's bought, which he knows that this is fake, and he's bought it from an extremely reputed online website. So if this can happen to a brand investigator, then think what you and I would be buying if we are looking at these huge discounts.
Now look at this. Now the horror story doesn't look at this ball.
So how do I know it's not genuine?
Because there is no hologram on this ball. All our balls come with a hologram.
Right.
And they come with a hologram. There is no hologram on this ball. And there are other product features which I cannot disclose because those are anti-counterfeit measures which we incorporate in all our products.
And the online fake bazaar has been revealed. CNN News 18 has exposed the truth behind huge online discounts. Now, let's take a quick look at what we found out. This is the huge expose on the goods that you're buying online. They may just be fake. Now, 50% of the sports goods listed online are fake, and that's what we figured out from this report, that 50% of these sport goods that you're buying are fake. Now, over 30% apparels that are listed in Indian online websites are also fake. So watch out before you buy those apparels online as well. Fake traders are tempting innocent consumers with huge discounts, and CNN News 18 was a part of the raids conducted to bust the fraud sellers. The raids were conducted to expose counterfeit products in Meerut, UP, and FIR has been launched against the sellers of Flipkart, of ShopClues, and also Snapdeal. In fact, we've also written to Flipkart. We also have to get some sort of a reply from Flipkart officially, as you just saw in that expose where Shubhajit brought us the sport product which was fake. Got Shivajit Singh Gupta joining us live with Nitisha as well, and Dhirendra Singh, who's the Director of Brand Protectors India, Pawan Duggal, who's a cyber law expert, Faisal Farooqi, the founder and CEO of Mouthchat.com as well, joining us live on this broadcast to bring us up to speed with all the latest in terms of what you're buying and how it is all fake. First up, going over straight to Shubhajit and Nitisha, who are bringing this story to us. Shubhajit, if you could just encapsulate the entire story. Most of these and 50% of the products that one buys online are fake, and our expose proves just that.
Well, absolutely. You know, a lot of these products which are being sold online do not carry the weight that they should have. you go by the name of the brand which from where you're buying the e-commerce website, but at the end of the day, these are all individual sellers, and that's why when you look at these holiday discounts, these mega sales, you need to be extra bit cautious about the product that you're going to buy. Like, you know, therein is someone who's been investigating these sports goods products, and he's been looking into Nivea as well, but he maintains that the margin which has been offered by the company, it becomes absolutely impossible for anybody to give about 53 to 60% discount. But here again, in spite of those repeated raids, we can see clearly a 50%, 53%, 52% discount which has been given on a sports product. There's another one where you have about 50. This you can see another 53% discount. So these problems are all there, you know. But the important point is you have to go to the ratings, and when you check the ratings there you would know, you would get a clear idea as to what kind of goods they are. The times they say that the air is not stocking, it's blooded is torn, all these kind of that responses which also come in. So it's important to look into what you say, but you know, the biggest part is that there's a raids which have been conducted and FIRs have been registered against all the sellers who've been using the platform of Flipkart, Snapdeal, ShopClues to sell fake products. So if you are a buyer, you have to be extremely careful about what you buy online.
Absolutely. Also, we're bringing in now cyber law expert Pavan Duggal, who is joining us live right now on this talk. Mr. Duggal, what can the websites really say about this? These, in their defense, they would always say that these are third-party vendors who are selling these products. What does the law have to say about these websites who are also guaranteeing the authenticity of these products online?
Use these websites as intermediaries. The Information Technology Act 2000 specifically says that all these websites which provide any service on the network are network service providers and hence intermediaries. Once they become an intermediary, Section 79 of the Information Technology Act 2000 mandates them to exercise due diligence while discharge their obligations under the law. Now, the Government of India has actually mandated various parameters of due diligence under the Information Technology Rules 2011. As part of the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines Rules 2011, these service providers are mandated to have in place appropriate user agreements, terms and conditions, and rules and regulations that should prohibit any third party from posting, uploading, hosting, or disseminating any information that's violative of the intellectual property rights or other rights of any other party.
So how can they be taken to task? How can they be taken to task?
Currently, there is no legal provisions under which you can take them to task. The moment you try taking them to task under Section 79 of the IT Act, they will say, I am entitled to statutory immunity thanks to the Supreme Court judgment. You won't catch hold of them. I think this approach is wrong, and this kind of an argument needs to be shut out of the window. Why? Because once you are a website and you are providing any kind of a service or goods on your platform, you can't say, I'm going to wash my hands off. Sorry. You will be made equally responsible. For that, appropriate legal provisions need to be incorporated.
So right now there are no appropriate legal provisions for this, sir?
Right now, directly there are no legal provisions. We can try to sue them under Section 79 and 85 of the Information Technology Act. Massively, if you want, you can even try and get an FIR registered against them. But the question is, most of the time, they will say, well, I am covered by this so-called statutory liability, exemption from liability. So I think, quickly speaking, India now needs to have dedicated legal provisions so as to deal with not just online piracy, but these kind of fake goods, and make the websites themselves responsible for what they are selling.
All right.
Gone are the days that they will be able to say that we are not responsible.
All right. So, Mr. Duggal, you're saying that they are protected by the statutory exemption from liability as well. Going across straight to Nitisha, in fact, who's joining us. Nitisha, an FIR has been filed against these online websites who are selling fake products. What is the future course of action, and have we received any kind of a formal email back from them when you wrote to them as well?
Well, Chedi, the FIR has been registered against the sellers who are selling fake products on these e-commerce websites. The sections have been imposed are Section 422, which is of cheating, and Section 63 of Copyright Act. What we also know is that these sellers, they are selling fake products. They are buying those counterfeit balls from nearby places, and they're claiming that they are the original balls, and then they are declaring 50% to 60% discount on these e-commerce websites. We also tried approaching these e-commerce websites, while we have not received any reply from these e-commerce websites. In fact, it's been 24 hours. We approached Flipkart, we have got no reply yet. We have even written mail to them, but we haven't got any reply yet. We are awaiting reply, and hopefully we will get the reply soon.
All right, we're also going to bring in Dhirendra Singh, who is the Director of Brand Protectors India as well. Mr. Singh, a quick question to you. You know, you have been seeing that the footfalls in the brick and mortar stores and the malls are reducing on the back of the fact that these online retail stores are providing 50 to 70% discounts on the holiday season as well. Now, as the Director of Brand Protectors of India, what do you have to say about the fact that these brands that one is buying online are fake, and how does one protect the interests of these brands which are being sold legitimately in the brick and mortar stores as well?
Okay, the past 4 months we have carried out investigations, and there are 3 parts. I agree with Pawan that it's time that India has stringent provisions regarding these online marketplaces, because thus far they have been getting away with Section 79, being intermediaries and so on. And in our instance, we send them infringement notices as per Rule 3 of the IT guidelines. They are supposed to, sub-Rule 4, they are supposed to take down those listings within 36 hours. They took 4 days of sweet time to come back to us, and 14 days to delist those particular sellers, those particular listings, but not those sellers. So I completely agree with Pawan that it's time stringent liability is inflicted upon these online marketplaces. Now, I would go to the extent of, there are 3 parts involved in this. One, on one hand, we have the brand owning companies, as in this instance, it was Nivea and Costco. And on the other hand, you have the consumer. On the third hand, you have a horror story which is playing out. I would go to the extent of saying that these online marketplaces have become the biggest enablers of money laundering in India, and I'll just take you through how. Now, all the fake goods which are purchased in bulk by these sellers, they are purchased with cash which is unaccounted for, and later on these listings are these fake products are listed on online marketplaces, and they are sold, and the money which comes in, it comes from a consumer like you and me, and then it is GST paid, and it reaches the account through of the online fake seller. So you have unaccounted money with which fake goods are purchased, listed online. The money which gets routed to the seller's account, it is legitimate GST paid money. On the third hand, you also have another horror story which the government ought to look at. How these online marketplaces are enabling the theft of GST. If one unit of my brand is, the MRP is 1,000 rupees, and 12% is the GST which is payable on that. So if a original product is sold, the government gets, at the rate of 12% GST, the government of India gets 120 rupees as GST. When a fake is listed at a 50% discounted price, the GST gets reduced by as much. The government gets 60 rupees. So what are we talking about? We are talking about theft of government revenues. We are talking about loss to the consumer. We are talking about enabling this money laundering, because Section 3 of the Money Laundering Act, PMLA, it makes it very clear these are proceeds of crime.
Right.
Copyright Act and the Trademark Act are
right. So it's a multi-pronged impact of buying online these fake products as well. In fact, we're going to be bringing in Faisal Farooqui, who's the founder and CEO of Mouthshut.com as well. Well, we haven't taken a reaction from you. Your first reaction on this particular expose that we're doing, that as a consumer, okay, Faisal Farooqui, tell me, how do I know whether what I'm buying online is fake or not? And once I have that fake product in my lap, what can I do? What is the kind of legal course of action as well that I can take? In fact, we'll take that question with Mr. Duggal as well, but first up, a reaction from you on this.
Well, good morning. I really appreciate CNN doing this story, but I think it's being projected that this is the biggest scam that's happening in India right now. The prevalence of fake brands or fake products in India has been a perpetual problem ever since we have opened up the economy. Mr. Dhirendra Singh is trying to make it up as if like the online industry or e-commerce platforms
Mr. Faruqi, it is a scam. It is a huge issue, and there is nothing wrong in us projecting it as a big scam, because today the consumer's money.
I disagree. I have been listening. I have been listening from last 15 minutes.
What do you disagree on?
You're packaging this story as if like this is the biggest thing that's going on in the country right now.
Well, your money is being taken for a ride. The consumer is being taken for a ride. What he's paying for is not original, despite multiple promises by the intermediaries online saying that it is.
There are scrupulous elements who are trying to sell fake products online, and they need to be curtailed. But there are enough people out there in the offline world who are doing more fake products. Why blame online alone? Just because they're providing some little discount and they're attracting people. There is no GST. There is absolutely
Mr. Faruqi, there is no disagreement even for a second about the fact that fake products are being sold in brick-and-mortar stores as well. But our story today is about the online sales.
Give me a break. Give me some chance to speak. Give me some chance to speak. Give me some chance to speak. You're shutting me off. You're giving me your package. You're giving me your capsule, and then you're asking me questions. And you're not giving me time to speak.
Okay,
give me time to speak. All I'm trying to tell you, this e-commerce industry is not as bad as you are. It's not as bad as your story is trying to portray. I understand that there are fake products being sold. I understand that there are people who are dealing in fake products online, and they're trying to lure people with discounts. But at the same time, there is adulteration problem in this country. There's fake products that are being sold offline. Majority of the products that are being sold offline are fake, are offline. Why don't you go after them? I mean, just yesterday I got some.
But that is exactly what you've done. Shubhajit, why don't you comment on this one? Shubhajit, why don't you comment on this one?
I'll tell you, Mr. Farooq, your point is clear that yes, there are fake products offline, but why aren't we talking about them? This particular story is about the online, and I'll tell you why the online aspect is more important. Like, let's just take example of the sellers we are looking here. These are the raids which were conducted in Meerut. Before the online process came in, they were mostly selling in Meerut and adjoining areas. Now, what has the online market done is they have enabled them to sell it all across the country, and that's why what has happened is, if this is not checked, this is going to be the next destination where all the fake products are going to be sold. And the very fact that you're enabling them, giving them a wider playing field, is something that doesn't go well with the entire system. Now, when I'm going to a shop, say if I'm going to a Pantaloons or a Shoppers Stop, I am aware that the product that I'm going to buy is genuine. Similarly, for someone who's a layman on the street, if there's going to a shop or a Snapdeal, they're going for the brand of it, not the brand of the particular seller who's going there. And that's why it's important to bring in that sense of accountability in amongst these websites as well, so they do the due diligence checking or at least take them down. That's why the story is important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Faruqi, we are going to come back to you in just about a bit, but we've got some breaking news coming in there. This is a huge impact of our story right here. So, online shopping giants. Alright, online shopping giant Amazon has responded to this particular expose. This is a huge impact of CNN News 18 that we're creating right now this morning. Amazon India spokesperson has said that Amazon has zero tolerance for counterfeit. Amazon's customers trust that when they make a purchase through Amazon's website, they will receive authentic products manufactured by the true manufacturer of those products. We remove suspected counterfeit items as soon as we become aware of them, and we suspend or block bad actors suspected of engaging in illegal behavior or infringing others' intellectual property rights. We have taken independent legal action against bad actors and will continue to do so. And we work with law enforcement who present us with valid legal process, unquote. That is the latest coming in right there from Amazon. They've responded and reacted to the expose that we're doing at this point of time. We're going back to Dhirendra Singh, who's the Director for Brand Protectors India. Dhirendra, in fact, Faisal Faruqi was making a point earlier saying that it is not a very big deal that you have all these fake products being sold online. Could we have you in for the response to Faruqi?
Yes, of course.
It is a big deal. It is certainly a big deal.
I did not. You're putting words in my
Earlier,
mouth.
had
I did not say that.
No. Let me finish, Mr. Farooqi.
let him finish.
You said it's not a big deal. Oh, of course it is a big deal. Earlier, when we had, if I have a local brick and mortar store, I'll walk into, I purchase a product which turns out to be fake, I can go back to the shop. Okay. Secondly, you had these brick and mortar stores earlier whose geographical limitation to sell these counterfeits was very localized. Now with these e-commerce platforms, a person who wants to sell fakes, his reach is pan-India. A person sitting in Meerut or Okhla in Delhi, where we have carried out these raid actions, we saw people ordering from all across the country, and the geographical reach of these sellers who were very, very local in nature. So now today, as a brand owner, I am having to grapple with the problem pan-India, because that is the reach which these e-commerce platforms have given to these sellers of fakes. Earlier, my problem was very localized. I could just contain them locally. Now I just can't. I have to spend millions of rupees to initiate legal action against them, to carry out enforcement.
That is a very good point brought forth by you, Dhirendra Singh.
On top of it, I'll show you some invoices. Okay. Now these e-commerce platforms might say anything. Look at these invoices. What are these? These are invoices of some test purchases, hundreds of test purchases we've made. Now, if you look at the highlighted addresses, during our investigations, we discovered, these sellers of these fakes, these addresses are all false. These are fake addresses. So what kind of due diligence are we talking about on the part of these online marketplaces? They just can't keep hiding behind Section 79 of the IT rules, that they are just intermediaries. Look at these.
Very good point brought out, in fact, by Dhirendra Singh. Mr. Farooqi, I'm just going to come back to you in just a bit, but first we'll take this question with Pawan Duggal, who is a cyber law expert. Mr. Duggal, you just saw that all these invoices were fake. In fact, the addresses of the sellers were also fake, and these are third-party sellers on these particular intermediaries that we're talking about. As a consumer, my faith lies in that intermediary, whether it is Snapdeal, Flipkart, Amazons of the world, that I am buying from a legitimate seller. Little do I know that the third-party vendors on these particular websites are selling me fakes. How do I protect my interest? Because I don't want to spend so much money on a formal lawsuit.
Well, I need to be more duly diligent. I don't need to trust every intermediary with whatever statement he or she is saying. First and foremost, please, as a customer, I will be required to read through the terms and conditions and the rules and regulations on the website.
Right.
So that can give me a substantial clarity of what this website is talking or professing vis-a-vis third-party sellers.
Right.
If you read through the fine print, most of these service providers say, well, we are not going to be responsible for all these third-party sellers, and you are required as customers to do your independent due diligence checks on them.
So one point is that all the consumers need to do their own due diligence before they buy any kind of products online, is what you're saying. But say I read it and a non-discerning consumer does not realize the legality of it and finds himself with a fake or a spurious or a counterfeit product, what kind of legal recourse can he take on this?
I have a legal recourse. I can go and file a criminal complaint against the website, against the top management of the website, against the seller, and against the top management of the seller. Why? Because these are simpliciter acts of cheating when they go ahead and give me spurious products. And of course, an FIR can be registered. The law is very clear. If the offense is committed either by the intermediary or by the seller, then every person who's responsible for running the day-to-day affairs of the company shall also be deemed to be guilty of the said offense. This is thanks to Section 85 of the Information Technology Act. So we can definitely try to register a cybercrime complaint. A normal civil action can also be initiated. But most of the times, these intermediaries don't respond. Dhirendra was talking about sending them notices. Now these guys have gone even further. They say that after the Shreya Singhal versus Union of India judgment, we cannot do anything. You either get me a court order or you get me an order from a governmental agency or police. I will then respond. Otherwise, I'll continue to be a loyal, silent spectator to whatever harakari that's happening on my platform. I think that's completely uncalled for. That's a very wrongful interpretation of the law that's laid down by the Supreme Court. The law needs to change, but unfortunately this is not currently within the top priorities of the lawmakers. No wonder, despite the IT Act being amended in 2008, we've not yet seen the next version of the amendments where India needs to take a very decisive stand against these intermediaries. As a nation and as a consumer, we have to realize one thing. Consumers are kings. And if you are going to behave with consumers like this, not only are they going to dump your brand, they are also going to be bad ambassadors of your goodwill.
So
and
why
more
is it that-
significantly, you may
Right.
ultimately end up.
Right, go on, sorry.
So ultimately the thing is you will end up losing large chunks of your business potential and existing businesses. But apart from that, I think the legalities must be now tightened up. The law must come up with a strong message. Any spurious, any false, any pirated product on your
But
platform,
Mr. Dugal,
and you are going to face
but
this
Mr.
kind of
Dugal,
liability.
we saw e-commerce being the sunrise sector just about a couple of years ago, and we were all talking about e-commerce being the next replacement to the brick and mortar players as well. And when we know that we are headed towards a boom in the e-commerce sector, why is it that there is no law enforcement in place?
Well, for the very simple reason that it's not yet on the priority radar of the lawmakers. For them, the more the merrier. What they're not understanding is if there are more spurious products online and the service providers are not seen to be making appropriate efficient steps against the same, it's going to ultimately harm the very cause of m-commerce and e-commerce. Merely stating that a country has or a company has zero tolerance towards piracy doesn't really help. What really helps is the company coming out in the open domain and saying, look, this is what we did. This is the due diligence that we did on our sellers. You go to any website, any of these e-commerce websites,
Right.
try to find out what do these websites say about the due diligence that the website has done on the
Very
sellers.
good point.
The
Very good point. In
chances are
fact,
that
we're just
most
bringing
of
in
the,
Faisal Farooqi as well, who's the founder and CEO of Mouthchat.com as well. Mr. Farooqi, you've been listening to these discussions right there as well. We're talking about the fact that now, let's not bring in brick and mortar into the picture. I know you were making a point about brick and mortar, but the discussion here now is about the online retailers. And of course, our expose is also proving that the online retailers are selling fakes. The fact of the matter is the consumer is being taken for a ride. Where consumer used to be king is something that they are violating completely, and as a consumer there is no law enforcement in place where I can take a legal recourse as well as the statutory law applies to them, where they say that they're only intermediaries and they're not the direct sellers. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Farooqi?
Well, I totally agree with you. I think there is a genuine problem of fake products being sold online in the form of disguise of discounts and heavy discounts. But at the same time, let's not forget that this has been going on perpetually for as long as I can remember. However, if you read complaints on Mouthchat.com, people write reviews about all these kind of things, and Mouthchat.com is not an e-commerce platform, so I would definitely urge people to follow what Pawan Duggal said. Mr. Duggal is a very eminent lawyer, and he urged people to discard and junk such brands or platforms that indulge in selling fake products. Having said that, I think the marketplace itself is very active, and I would rather say that proactive in removing people who are even indulging in an iota of fake products, or there is a doubt of fake product being sold. I mean, you have a breaking news that said Amazon is committed to selling genuine products online. That's not a breaking news, that's regular practice of Amazon, and I'm sure for many other e-commerce platforms in this country. What I am against and what I really am perturbed about on this show is the fact that Mr. Dhirendra Singh has charged the e-commerce platform the industry rather, of money laundering, avoiding of GST, etc., etc., etc. I mean, you had the sunrise industry, you have this e-commerce sector that was a darling of everybody, every advertiser and every investor in this country and every shopper in this country, and now you're charging them with the frauds. You're charging them in GST fraud, you're charging them with money laundering. That's blasphemy. I mean, there's absolutely no. I understand your story, Mr. Dhirendra Singh, I understand your story. I understand the concern that
But
of
it
the
is a
brands that
genuine
you
story.
represent.
How is it blasphemy?
And I
Maybe
totally
if we've
agree
gone
that
and
there
tracked
has to be
down the
some
seller, we
mechanism.
could not even find
It is.
a
It-
registered
it is.
address of the seller as well, who is the third-party seller who's selling on this particular intermediary. How is that blasphemy?
It is a blasphemy when you say that they are indulging in e-commerce fraud of using GST mechanism. It's a blasphemy when you say that people are
But it is happening.
sort of laundering
How
money.
can we stay
I understand
away
that
from
the
reality?
fake products itself.
But it is happening, Mr. Farooqi. Whatever we are
It is a
reporting is not
reality.
something
I
which is a
understand.
figment of our imagination. This is happening. We've got proof with those invoices. We've got proof with those products which are bought online, and these are fake products. How can you call this blasphemy? It fails me.
Did anybody deny that? Did anybody deny that? Nobody is denying that. There are people who are confessing it on camera there that they are selling fake products. So why would I be denying it? I don't deny it. I think the important thing here is that we recognize that this is a problem. We also recognize that there are limitations in the laws, but we need to pursue those laws. We don't need to enact. There are laws for fake products. There are laws that will help you protect your intellectual property and trademark, etc. And you should pursue that. We don't need special laws for e-commerce relationship between the buyer and the seller, or the buyer and the brand manufacturer, etc. We need to enforce existing laws, and if a company like Amazon can make a breaking news by saying that we are committed to selling genuine products online, I am sure that you have appreciated that there are enough people outside on the e-commerce platform side, on the management of e-commerce, who understand that this is a problem and then they are dealing with it.
That is partly not true, because I'll bring in Shubhajit right here. Shubhajit, we've written to Flipkart as well without any kind of response coming in there from Flipkart as well. Amazon also has gone on record to say that they have zero tolerance for counterfeit products, but they've not told us what is the kind of stringent action they're taken against the third-party vendors who are selling counterfeit products. Over to you, Shubhajit, as to what kind of responses are we getting from these big brands, Amazon, Snapdeals, Flipkarts of the world, where the consumer is trusting the brand before making that purchase online?
Well, the responses have not been coming in, except for Amazon. Others have not responded. In fact, it could probably be the holiday season or whatever the reason be, but the fact is it's unfortunate that we had to go ahead with the story without taking a response from Flipkart, but we have tried to reach out to them. So far, we are expecting them to give their response sometime soon. Once they do that, we will go ahead. But one thing which is very clear is that everything which you said here, whether it has been documented and has been shown. We've bought a fake product, we've shown, and we opened it, we found it to be fake. There are FIRs which are registered against these companies. This is not a witch hunt, as Mr. Farooqi could be trying to show, or something else. This is not someone trying to exaggerate things. It is keeping things very simple, very straight, that this is what is happening on the online platform. When you're going to buy, just be a little more cautious, and that's the point we have to keep in mind, even whenever we go to all these online marketplaces. You and I all shop from these e-commerce websites.
Well, absolutely. That's the point that we're trying to bring back home, that be careful before you shop from all these e-commerce websites. See who the third-party vendors are. Go through the agreements as well before you shop, because more often than not, when a deal is too good to be true, it is actually too good to be true. On that note, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. We're taking a very short break right here on CNN News 18.